Ibrahim Khalilai Osman. I work for Gaia Africa as a communication associate, and on this meeting with Carissa, which is our Africa Programs Manager. You are all welcome to this training where we will be taking you through how to apply for opportunities. So, as a mode of introduction, we would like to take you through how the training for today is going to run, and then I will pass it to Carissa to take us through the training structure for today, and then we can proceed with the training. So we kindly request that we all mute, and then we can use the chat to ask question and chat, yeah, and talk more, yeah, as we've begun already. Yeah, thank you very much. Carissa, to you.
Thanks so much, Khalil, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm just going to start screen share. We'll go over our agenda for today. And we encourage you to continue introducing yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from very quickly. But we'll start off with Khalil giving us an introductory presentation, and then we'll move on to some breakout room group activities. Then we'll continue our presentation around today's subject matter. We'll also be going through a segment on using AI in journalism. And then we'll go into a bit of a Q&A session. And then lastly, we'll be talking about our Zero Waste Journalist Network that we have as a movement here as Gaia. And then just some closing thoughts and closing remarks.
All right, thank you very much, Carissa, and thank you very much, colleagues. It's good to see your beautiful faces. So we will begin this training by a way of introduction. Please can you let me know if you can see, yeah, like a red curtains on your screen. All right, good. So I would like us to begin this workshop by a way of an introduction about myself, because I think it's very important you guys know who's talking to you. Yeah, because we're talking about journalism. My name is Ibrahim Khalilai Osman. I began practicing journalism in the year 2016. So I have worked in radio, I have worked in print, and I've worked online. And yeah, so at the moment I currently work for Gaia as a communication associate, a climate communication. So I'm trying to go to my next slide. All right, so here we go. So throughout my career as a journalist, one thing I've always done is to try to have a plan for what I do as a journalist. Even though I think it's very important, I report in story. I think it's also very important. I also take care of myself in terms of the trainings. I have had the opportunity to attend the fellowship and then everything. And then as you can see on your screen, these are just like bit of the workshops, the trainings I have had across the world, across Africa. And then it's interesting for you to know that I've had all of these things without paying anything. It's all of these are fully funded. I mean, I paid nothing for me to be able to attend to all of this training. So what we're going to do in this training today is for me to share my experiences with you, how I was able to do them, and then we can have conversations. So we are going to have open conversations. It's a safe space. There is no wrong answer. And then towards the middle of the training, also we are going to have a breakout session where you guys will have the chance to also have a conversation around the subject. So the first thing we have to know, I mean, as journalists, is that even though we work as journalists, there is a need for us to have what I called a professional development plan. So a professional development plan for you as a journalist cultivates a blend of skills, personal and ethical grounding that you need to have as a journalist. So we are not just talking you being a journalist that report news or stories. We are talking about you, a journalist that is intentional about everything you do. So as a journalist, your professional development can be divided into four. The first, you have skills development. So that is you went to school, you know how to write stories, you know how to report, you know how to do video editing, and then everything. And then now we have mindset and personal qualities. Of course, you have to be curious, passionate, agility. All these are very important. And then we have self-care and well-being, which you have to also consider, which basically refers to your mental well-being. And then we have professional growth and networking, which the training we are having today will largely focus on. So all of these four sections I mentioned, we can like spend the whole day talking about them and trying to see how we can go about them. But I felt it's very important for us to start today's training from me as a journalist and you as journalists, for us to know that it's very important for us to have professional development plan, because it is only when we plan that we can review. So I would like to explain further on the third point, which is professional growth and networking. So when we say professional growth and networking for you as a journalist, what do we mean? We basically mean that all of those things you will do and all of those things you will engage in that will further and improve you in knowledge, in network, and then in places you can be as a journalist. And the first among them is building a portfolio. So as a journalist, you report on stories, either you're on TV, either you're on radio, either you write online, you report on stories. So these stories you report on are what we call portfolio. So there is a need for you to consistently document your work, your published article, your practical assignment, anything you do as a journalist, a line of your duty as a journalist, you have to document them. So this is what we call building a portfolio. Then we come to networking. Networking, you go for assignments, you meet people, you exchange contact with them. Your colleagues, journalists in your locality, in your community, in your country, there is a need for you to consistently build that intentional relationship with them. And then we have niche specialization. So the more you report on a subject, the more you become an expert. And that's why you find some journalists saying they are science journalists, some saying they are focusing on climate change, some are focusing on politics. So you also have to have a niche. I mean, it's very good for you to be a journalist that reports on every subject. That's so fine. That's so perfect. But then it is more needed and important in this time and moment for you to have a niche as a journalist, so that when someone mentions your name in a room, people can be able to identify you through your niche. For example, I focus on science journalism, on climate change and communication. That is what I focus on. That is the only thing I report on. Maybe someone is focusing on politics. It's all fine, but be it as it may be, you have to have a niche. Then, fourthly, applying for opportunities, either be training, grant, and fellowship, which is basically what we are here to talk about. So in professional growth and networking, one of the things that will advance your career as a journalist is when you have the opportunities to attend trainings, workshops, seminars, boot camps, for you to learn, for you to connect with other people within your field. And then lastly, we have second feedback, which basically having a mentor which can mentor you, and then the more you do things, the more you make mistakes, and then they're able to teach you. So moving forward in the presentation, I would like for us to have a group conversation. So this is just a starter. So we are going to break into rooms immediately. And then what we are going to do during this, so we have about 100 people in the room, Carissa. Maybe we can divide the group into 20 each. Can that work? All right. So we are going to go into group breakout rooms. And then this is the instructions on what we are going to do. We are going to search for an opportunity online. That is, sorry, can we kindly mute our mics, please? So we are going to break out into rooms, and then the work we're going to do is that we search for opportunities online. Then within that group, you guys should discuss how you will apply for that opportunity. Just list the steps, and then after that, we will come back and call it a presentation or just like a normal conversation. So when we break out into the group, you should choose a team lead. Someone will maybe like guide a group for you to do the work you want to do. And then you should select one person who is going to do the presentation. Yeah, and then after that, we can continue with the other aspect of the training. Please, are we okay? If there is any question, you can ask in the chat. So, Carissa, can we go to the groups now? So sorry, I think we've spent quite some good time having the conversation. So we are now back to the main room. So I would like us just within the next 5 minutes, because we have a lot of things to cover for this training. Can we have, so this is the format I want us to take. So this is the format I want us to take. So we've spent about 20 minutes having the conversation based on the group work. So for those who just join us, we spent about the last 20 minutes having a conversation in the group based on the work we have. So I want us to present based on our group. So group one, you will present just within 2 minutes, just points. You tell us what you found out, and then you tell us how you are going to apply. So tell us the name of the opportunity, where it is based, and then how you are going to apply. So we go group one, or room one, room two, room three, room four, and room five. So room one, the floor is yours.
Who's in room one? Sorry.
Yeah. Can we have the members of room one? Who is going to present on your behalf so that we can proceed, please?
My apologies. I don't know which group I fell under, but yeah, I was participating.
Yeah, Aaron, I think you are in room 3 also. I think I saw you somewhere, but don't worry. So, do you have people from room 1? Okay, so I think this thing is now becoming a thing. So, how about room 2? Okay, so if we do not get the rooms we are in, so can we just have like 3 presenters to tell us about what they found out, and then how they are going to apply for it? Anyone who is ready can just chip in.
Okay.
So Aaron, please.
I can
Yes,
take
please.
for room 5.
All right. Please proceed.
This is Victor from Nairobi, Kenya.
All right.
So our group, we discussed about an opportunity. You said that we look for an opportunity online.
Yeah.
Based on maybe a journalistic opportunity, and then we found opportunity on. Let me check. It was on UNSCD, which is the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. The UNSCD and the International Drought Resilient Alliance seeks application for the UNSCD COP17 Land and Drought Media Reporting Fellowship. Selected journalists will report from UNSCD COP17 scheduled for August 17th to 28th in Mongolia. So this we picked from GIGN Africa from X platform. So we said that on this one, first we understand the call. We understand the call, what they mean. Generally, this is a climate change fellowship, and it's concerning about climate change. So we said that first of all, what we should do, we should express ourselves. You should introduce yourself, your name, where you're coming from, and maybe why do you want to attend that COP 17 function about the right and the certification. And also we say that you should come. We should come with a pitch to address, maybe to boost the application. We said that we should look for a story maybe about the climate adaptation, and we gave an example, as in now, for example, in a certain village, women have come together to combat climate change by doing what we call climate mitigation agriculture. For example, if they were farming, if that village, the cash crop was maize, for example, let me use maize because it's widely known in Africa, and now maize is not doing well because of the climate change brought up, because of the climate change, which has been maybe brought up by environmental issues and such. Now they are changing this farming because they can't go hungry to maybe the shorter crops, like now, for example, the arrowroots, the vegetables, and so forth. So we come with an angle. Now our angle was women in a certain village have come together to combat climate change. Now they are planting shorter crops instead of long time crops like maize. That's our angle. And then from there, we said that we write a synopsis to boost, because we understood the story angle. We come with a synopsis, sorry. And then from the synopsis, we said that we should look maybe our objective of the story. What's the objective of this story? The objective of this story is that we want to teach the world that in spite of the climate change around us, there are other ways of doing things so that we can feed ourselves. And why this story matter? The story matter because the climate change has come and we have to look for ways to combat it. Our subject, we look for our case studies, our characters. Our characters were the women and the girls in the village. So that's what we talked about. And we come up with, maybe if that COP needs a small budget, we craft a budget and then we send it. So that was our discussion. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me give you a drum roll. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. All right. So can we have Arun to present to us?
Yes, we focused on the Riam Alfaro Memorial Journalism Fellowship.
That's by the UN. Yeah.
Yes, which is fully funded September to October, and it focuses on the sustainable development goals, climate change, peace, but it's not limited to that. So it also includes freelance journalists like us, like me rather, from developing countries. You'll be able to travel to New York.
Yeah, please continue. We can hear you, Arun.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. We can hear you. Go on. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, so basically it says that we were limited because the deadline for applications is on the 3rd of April 2026. So we said, okay, if you feel like you're well versed in these matters, if you look at your portfolio and you see that this is your needs, it's better, since the deadline is early, it's better you apply and make sure you've got reputable references. And a colleague actually said, look, what if people that you work with won't be able to support you? And he said, maybe you can accept our organization here, and maybe they can also assist. And after looking at your portfolio, and just people who are in your network that you have worked with and in regular contact with.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Arun. So because of time,
Another thing I was saying, we didn't have time. So the group proposes that we share our numbers and you guys can actually put us in a WhatsApp group. We will ask questions from various experts or people who have attended these workshops, and we can from there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arun. And I mean, you've mentioned everything. I was part of the RAF Fellowship, so I've been earlier during the presentation when I shared my slide about the fellowship I have been in. I think it's part of them, so I know very much what you're talking about. So can we have Gloria to give us their own presentation within just 2 minutes, and then I saw Kim also because we have so many things to cover. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So my group and I chose the Our Ocean Conference 2020 Fellowship happening in Mombasa, Kenya from June 16 to June 18, 2026. And so this conference and fellowship mostly just focuses on ways we can strengthen, we can report illegal fishing or activities that harm the environment and the oceans, with a focus more on Kenya. This year's theme is Our Ocean, Our Heritage, and Our Future. So upon discovering this fellowship, the first thing we suggested that an applicant do is make sure that they still have time to apply before the deadline. They should also look at the requirements to make sure that they are eligible and that they can apply to this fellowship. So this includes preparing your resume, make sure that you have news stories that you can present as previous work, because those are things that are demanded by the fellowship. Another thing is also doing your research. You should search up previous fellows, learn about stories that they've reported on, and also do your research about how you can bring a plus during this conference, the type of stories that you can cover, especially because of the fact that there is a big focus on Kenya. And also how you can bring the skills that you will gain during this conference back to your home country in order to bring that plus as well. So these are just a few things that we discussed. We also spoke about possible topics that can be explored, like climate change, etc. And this is just a brief summary of what we discussed in our group.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Can we have Kim?
Yeah, sure. So actually we got I probably got the brief wrong. So we actually looked at two, but actually one was Our Ocean Conference 2026, which you've explained so nicely, Gloria. And the other one was also the UN RAF Journalism Fellowship. But we had a lot of similar kind of things for each. Obviously, Our Ocean Conference is a different, shorter conference, so perhaps not as onerous as if you're going for the UN RAF Journalism Fellowship, which seems to require a lot more documents, 2 years of experience, references, all sorts of extra information. But what our main points were is that you need to match your experience and your work and your interest with the fellowship. So make sure it's like really nicely targeted towards that. Put together your portfolio of your best work. There was a question also about young journalists who perhaps don't have have had that kind of experience, and some helpful comments on some fellowships that are more lenient. And if you can show you're really, really interested, there can be some room there for you as well. Your motivational letter needs to be original, no AI, personal, and you've got to make sure that you show you have a competitive advantage. So really spend time on crafting this. and get some advice if you need from an editor. As you look back on previous fellows, sometimes they're available for asking for emailing and finding out how what worked for them in an application, how was the fellowship. So if you ask those particular questions, you're a step ahead. And then just on your previous work, be willing to defend your ideas. Yes, and then your budgets and your timeline is really important for certain of the bigger fellowships, especially. And and the impact of the story. So what's it going to mean for your audience, for the particular climate change or whatever it would be, sustainable development or whatever issue you're looking at. How's it going to make a difference to the reader, to the viewer, and to perhaps the sponsor as well, the donor, or the people, and for journalism in general.
All right. Thank you very much, Kim, Gloria, Aaron. I mean, these are impressive conversation. And then we can also see from these conversations we've had, we are now beginning to have like a bit of understanding of what we need when we are to apply for opportunity. So now we are going to continue our presentation. So before we zoom into, before we zoom into learn about the opportunities themselves, earlier we spoke about professional development. But there is also something very important, that is our values. You know, before you apply for any opportunity, there are 4 things you need to know really. And these things are really personal and not even in terms of opportunities, but almost everything in life. First of all, do you have genuine interest in what you are applying for, right? I mean, like, do you have genuine interest in it? Are you really, really interested? Or you just want to join the fellowship or the training just for you to post on social media? And then secondly, do you have the time? Do you have the time for you to be able to join the training or the fellowship, the bootcamp, the seminar? And again, the most important among them, commitment. Sometimes you can have genuine interest, you can have the time, but commitment is not physical. You know, it's an active, emotional, and intentional dedication of your energy, your effort, and passion towards like the particular thing you want to do. So commitment is everything. Commitment is everything. And fourthly, value. So it's not just about applying for opportunities, but then asking yourself, what is the value in this opportunity? And value is in 2 ways. What are they offering you? What are you going to learn? Are you going to meet new people? Are you going to learn something new? You know, like you have to interrogate yourself. For you to be able to be truthful to yourself, again, you have to be intentional. What are they offering you? Are all of these things they are offering you going to benefit you in the short or long term? Are they going to contribute to your work as a journalist? And then again, you should also ask yourself, what are you going to offer them? What are you offering? Because it isn't just about you joining a fellowship or a training just for you to benefit, but then what are you bringing to the table, as we see? So that's also very important. If anyone has any question, please, you can use the chat and soon we'll open it up for questions. So now let's look at the type of opportunities available to us as journalists. So there are in 3 types. We have what we call trainings. These mostly include what we call seminars, boot camps. I mean, they have different names, but then trainings are specific to teaching you skills or knowledge, often with a practical focus. For example, what we're doing here is a training. And then you have grants. So grants are financial rewards. They are not free money. I mean, they are financial rewards or support given to journalists to pursue a story or a project. So these are also type of an opportunity. And then you have fellowship, which is more competitive and they are much longer in terms of duration. You can have a fellowship that can last for, let's say, 6 months, some 3 months, some a month. But I think the minimum is 3 months for a fellowship. I mean, and they also include set of funding, mentorship, networking. I mean, fellowship are quite longer. And then it can either be in your country, maybe within the region you are. I mean, we are based in Africa, so within Africa or worldwide. And then I think in the presentations we had from Kim, Gloria, and Arun, some of the opportunities are based within Africa. For example, the Ocean Conference in Kenya, there are fellowship by UN is worldwide, and there was an earlier also which like it's within the continent. So these are also the types and how they varies. So haven't understood the types of opportunities we have. Let's look at the funding model. So one of the most important thing in every opportunity, before you apply, you have to know the funding model. There are 3 funding models. Some opportunities are self-funded, so you have to fund yourself. You have to take care of your transportation, your flights, your accommodation, your feeding. You cover your own yourself. And some are fully funded, right? You get everything from your flights to the program. Some even give you stipend. I mean, like everything is fully funded. And some opportunities also, they are shared funding. So which means that the organizers will take part of the cost and you, the one applying, the journalist, will also take part of the cost. But for most of the opportunities I've seen for journalists in my years of working, they are mostly fully funded. Yeah, mostly fully funded opportunities for journalists. Yeah, so again, we are going to zoom into another group discussion, but then with these, I want it to be like an open conversation. So we are not going to go into groups. We are going to stay here and have the conversation within just 5 minutes. Maybe just some few people will want to share with us. What opportunities have you applied for in the past? Were you able to get it? You were not able to get it? What worked? What didn't work? I saw Samira Osman Adam raising a hand. Do you want to go, Samira?
Good evening, Ibrahim. Yeah. Yes, I want to see if what I will share will be relevant here.
Yeah, so can you tell us where you are from, the work you do, and the media house you work for? Yeah.
Okay, my name is Samira Osman Adam. I work for S24 Television as partnership lead and like PR and partnership lead, and I'm also a presenter. I am from Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria, precisely. Okay. I applied recently for a training on accountability and I think using of AI in the newsroom. So the day I received a response that I did not get in, I felt so bad because it was something I was really interested in. But like sitting down to go through my application again, I was like, let me see, okay, what did I do wrong that made me not even be considered? I understood not having prior knowledge of what they were trying to train people on was one of the things that made me to lose that particular opportunity. So I think that particular moment just made me realize that whenever you're applying for an opportunity, make sure you understand from within yourself, are you even qualified to be chosen at the end of the day? I think this is just a big story I am sharing here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Samira, for sharing this important thing. I think this is also very important. Sorry, if we want to talk, can we kindly raise our hands so that I can call us? Does anyone want to share again with us? Bushra Yusuf Badmus. Now, Bushra, you can go.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah,
I'm Bushra Yusuf Badmus. I report for the News Agency of Nigeria. and I stay in Kwara State, Nigeria. I've been applying for so many opportunities. Some I will be picked, some I will not be picked. But the one that was not picked that really touched my heart was the DPI fellowship.
Yeah, that's by the Media Foundation for West
Media
Africa.
Foundation for West Africa, yes.
Yeah.
My application last year was the 3rd.
Why?
And the 4th was the 3rd, and I was not picked.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the first application I did, I would say I was not too conversant with what DPI was and is and what they actually want from the training. So I just applied for applying sake. But one of my bosses at work was selected. So through him, I was able to learn what they wanted and all sorts of things. The second time, I applied and I was really prepared. I passed the first stage, I was shortlisted. But after the interview, the online interview, I realized I was not selected. Another colleague of mine in Ibadan was selected. So I was hopeful that the 3rd time I will be selected. I prepared. In fact, I did a DPI report before the next application came out so that it would give me an added advantage. And I crossed my T's, I dot my I's, and I did all what I think was needed. And I was really hopeful that I would be selected.
Yeah.
In fact, the recommendation letter, I got my editor-in-chief to sign, and that's the highest decision body as far as NAN is concerned. So I was really hopeful. But at the long run, I was not selected. And what now appeared funny to me was nobody was selected in NAN, which has never happened. At least the first edition, the second edition, there were people from NAN, and those people delivered very well. In fact, they were invited for their programs severally afterwards, meaning that they were not disappointed with NAN reports. So I was surprised at why will it be when I had the highest chance to be selected? Why will I be? So it's really affected. In fact, it affected my mental health.
Sorry.
September till early this year, I think it was February that I started applying again. I stopped applying for anything. I even what now paid me then was I went as far as sending a personal mail to the person that did the online interview for us. Yes, I did, because I wanted to learn. I wanted to know what I was doing wrong. Maybe I was doing something wrong that I shouldn't have been doing. That I sent her a mail that it's not for me to be considered later on, but at least for me to learn and know what it is that I've been doing wrong, that I'll be able to correct in other applications, even if not from MFWA. But I didn't get any response. But it took me like 3 or 4 months before I could get over it. And that's my experience for now. But I've started applications again this year. And luckily, I have been selected for one training. In fact, we just finished around 3:30 p.m. today, although it's an online training. But I think it's a good start from there. So my own point is it will be nice if those that advertise these opportunities are able to communicate to their applicants, especially maybe those that have passed the first, second, third stage, whatever it is they are not doing right, so that we'll be able to learn from there. I think that will make everything much better instead of them just ghosting out and not hearing anything from them again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, I agree with every single thing you guys mentioned. You are right. It's painful because someone will take the pain. Like some of these applications, you can spend up to 3 months applying for them because it depends on what you're applying for. Some will require for you to have a project, a research brief, a lot of things. In fact, just last week, I was having a conversation with a journalist, and then I told him, so there is this fellowship by the African Union, and then they had quite a lot of application. But then they did not send any email to the people. And all that's what the people saw is that they've already begun the fellowship. Like I was telling him, because it was a past fellow, and then I was just trying to tell him, like, to ask him, why do they do things that way? Because at least, if for nothing, just send a message. Thank you for applying. You didn't make it this time around. I know the argument is, oh, they had over 1,000 people. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, 1,000 people, it's fine. But then, even if it's 10,000 people, you can still take the pain to reach out to every single one of them and tell them, thank you for applying. You didn't make it. This is a big problem. So I would like to take more people to share in their view, but then we are also limited with time. Okay, so Patience wants to go. So let me take Patience, and then, yeah, we can proceed. Yeah, Patience.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Apologies, I'm not really good with this thing. My own experience is that I've been applying for a lot of fellowship, and I just randomly apply. Like I just come online, see something, I go and check the criteria, and then I just apply. So I really can't say this is the structure for it. But because I really recently got into it, I never knew about all these fellowships. Nobody told me about it until last year, when a colleague of mine introduced me to it. So, nobody guides me on it. I just go on LinkedIn or any platform, I see opportunity, and then I teach myself how to do it. I don't really have a mentor. So, but one fellowship I've gotten is that of Humango.
Yeah, Humango, yeah, in Nigeria.
Strengthening community advocacy and journalism. And we've been running it for 6 months. To be honest with you, that fellowship, I don't know how I got it. I can't even remember applying, but I know that most of the fellowships I apply for, I make sure they are simplified. That is to say, if I click on the forms and then the process is complex, like I don't know how to explain it. They are asking
I
for...
understand, yeah. So many things, recommendations and this, yeah.
Yes, I leave it. And especially the area of recommendation you mentioned. The thing is, with my organization, I don't have access to the editors. I don't have access to the people at the top. I just have a supervisor, and he's not really into all this application training. In fact, when you just tell him you want to apply for something, he's like, as a journalist, there is no need to apply. He believes, how do I put it? He believes that when you go and start applying for certain things, it's like you are begging. So he will tell you, he will tell you a professional or an expert journalist does not apply. Wait, let them call you. If they're not calling you, leave it. So I've had to struggle with a lot. Once I just see letter of recommendation, it becomes an issue for me. In fact, the first fellowship I got, my pastor had to sign for me. Like he had to be the one to sign for me. That's Women Radio Network. And then the second one was Humango. And honestly, I prayed before my boss was able to get that recommendation letter for me. Right now, I've seen another fellowship I want to join, but I don't know how to do it because of the recommendation letter. So for me, this particular training, I just want to learn how to go about these things in a structured manner. Like how to target specific fellowships and trainings that reshape my career and help my journey.
Very important.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And that's why at the beginning of the training, I spoke about professional development, right? And then it's very important. I mean, if we haven't thought of it, we should go back after this training, just search online professional development and then read what it means. And then you as a person, I'm very much open to share templates with us after this call, but then you just search how to create professional development. It's your own personal plan. What do you want to achieve within the next 10 years? It's not okay because you are just a journalist and you report on stories. That's it. No, it is not okay. We shouldn't be okay with the normal, right? You should have a plan. Where do I want to be in the next 10 years? In the next 5 years, in terms of your education as a journalist? Do I want to stay maybe with a degree, with a master's, with an MPhil, with a PhD? All of these things are very important. How many trainings do I want to attend in a year, in a week, right? In a month. And I mean, all of these things, you know, like there is something we call a vision board. Maybe, I mean, we all know it here, maybe, but maybe something new. You know, like a vision boards allow you to like vision what you want for yourself. And like, I mean, all these are like conversation we can have some other time. So thank you very much. I saw Minisi raising his hand. You want to go? Sorry, I don't know if it's a E or a she, but yeah, Minisi. Just briefly, then we can move on to the other part of the presentation. Yeah.
Okay, good evening. My name is Sipho Mnisi from South Africa. Yes, I'm a freelance journalist and also a radio presenter for a local radio station. So I just recently completed a journalism course with this digital magazine or newspaper. So yeah, I think when I saw this workshop, I said to myself, it's going to be a good fit for me to grow as a freelance journalist. So based on the question, what are opportunities that I have applied? I think I have applied some of the fellowship programs. There's a program called YADLA. It's a Youth African Leadership Development, I think, association or agency. I forgot the name. I think I've applied there to be a digital content consultant or manager for a country. I think it was a country regional representation. Yes. So I did qualify. I think after qualifying it, and then there was sort of like an assessment that I was supposed to do. I think they've given me like 7 days, something like that. But because of I didn't have any form of training or qualification within journalism, I just tried. I just used my own experience since I've been working in a media space. Then I think I qualified. After qualifying, I think all of a sudden I just decided to leave the program. But I think there are plenty of opportunities if you network and take a risk of trying and learning. And I've seen that some of these programs, they do take your people like us who are freelancing so that they can, grow us in a journalism space. But last year I did one project as a public director for this international and regional organization, but applying some skills of media relation consulting, and it did performed very well because we've even won some 5 or 6 international awards based on my contributions on that. So I think networking and taking some courses, it truly helps a lot, and engaging with professionals who are journalists. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, colleague from South Africa, for sharing all that. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, there are quite thousands of opportunities happening every day, every single minute and every single day. But then what is also very much important is that not everything we need to apply for. Back then, there was a year that I applied for almost like 50 opportunities and I got only one. Like that was so much for a single person to apply. But I think also during those times, I mean, there were like times I was just trying to just get something off my hand like this. Like I was desperate to get an opportunity, just the exposure. And then like the more you do these things, the more you get to know that you don't need to apply for everything. Like you don't need to apply for everything. Sometimes you just let so many things go, because earlier we spoke about values we have to have as like humans and as journalists. Do you have genuine interest? Do you have the time? Do you have the commitment? And what are the values we are getting from that? So that's also very important. So let's move on to the other aspect of the presentation. So we've known about the types of opportunities and everything. So for most opportunities, they have different demands, what they ask of you, right? Some of them ask you for a very simple thing, while others ask you for information you will spend months trying. So have divide them into 4. The first of them is CV. Your CV, or call it a resume. So depending on your years of experience. So if you have less than 5 years of experience, it is recommended to make your CV just a page. Everything should be within a page. But if you have more than 10 years of experience, you are then allowed to have 2 pages. Yeah, and if you have maybe, let's say, 15 years of experience, maybe 3 pages. But then everything you want to see can be done in a single page of a CV, depending on the template. So your CV is very important. And then one thing we have to also know is that when you're applying for an opportunity, don't apply with your regular CV. So if you're applying, for example, the Ocean Conference, try and create a specialized CV for what you are applying for. Yeah, I know it's a lot of work. We don't have time. We are journalists. But then to maximize your chances of selection, you have to create a tailored CV for every opportunity so that you can look at the keywords, right? Say, for example, you are a journalist with Media ABC and you report on climate and science and you're applying for the Ocean Conference Fellowship to travel to Kenya for fully funded trip. You look at the keywords in the application. Maybe they are looking for journalists who have reported on issues of ocean, of waters or something. And then you have that experience. So in the description of the job you do, you now change the climate to ocean. So you are what? A journalist who is focusing on ocean reporting. So depending on what you are applying for, there is a need for you to tailor your CV to suit that specifically. That's also very important. Then you come to statements. Almost all application will ask you for a statement. Some will ask you for short answers, maybe just about you, why you want to apply. Some will ask you for long essays. The questions they will give you, you have to answer this question in 1,000 words. You have to answer this question in 300 words. So some have word limit. And then some will also require you to submit a motivational statement, a full document stating why you want to apply, what you are going to get, what are you bringing on board. Some also call it statement of purpose. Be it as it may be, it all means the same thing. It's just telling you that they want to know why do you want to apply for this training, because there are thousands of people applying and you are also applying. And then the 4th one, project, sorry, there is a typo there. So some fellowship or some training will require you as a journalist to have a project. And a project can be what you will do after the training, or a story you are going to report on after the training. So that's what they call project. So it's also very good for you to read the description and for you to know which of this demand are they having of you. And some of this fellowship will require you to have a research brief. So some fellowship, some journalism fellowship will require you to have a research brief because you are spending about 3 months, 6 months, a year with them. So they want you to work on a research, not research in terms of the academics, but then research for you to produce something, maybe a policy guide, maybe a brief, maybe a toolkit for journalism. So it depends on really the training and then the people who are organizing the fellowship or the training. And then the most important thing, recommendation. Now, almost all the training will ask for a recommendation. And the most interesting aspect is that you don't know what the person whom you are putting as your recommender is going to say about you. So it's very important for you to get people you trust to write a recommendation for you. And personally, what I do is don't tell anyone, do. Like if I'm given journalists within my organization or in the past a recommendation, I mostly like them to write what they want me to say about them. And then I can add up the few things I know. Not maybe because I don't want, but I kind of feel like it's just very good for us to position people in a way where they will be able to have opportunities, right? And then for me personally, I don't have a problem writing a recommendation for a colleague journalist or someone I work with, because I have benefited from people who have written recommendations for me, even people who have just known me for not so long, and then like they are kind to write a recommendation about you, about your work. And this is where the point we made earlier with regards to networking. Networking. A recommendation doesn't need to come from your chief editor or your supervisor. It can come from your colleague, just that they have to know the work you do as a journalist and they have to have an understanding of what you do. That's very important. And I have heard and I've seen people complaining about recommendation. So it's very important. And for those of us on this call who are like line managers, who are editors, please, when a journalist at your media organization comes asking you for a recommendation, kindly try your possible best to give them a very good recommendation. And sometimes also they can follow up. And it doesn't mean we should try to sugarcoat or say things that are not there. No. If you know the journalist is not effective and not qualified for the training or the fellowship, I mean, you don't need to say they are qualified, but then you can put them in a place where you'll be like, okay, so this journalist needs improvement in this area, in this area, in this area. So I am of the view that him having this fellowship will help him to achieve the goals mentioned above or something. So it's very important for us to have that recommendation and to know the people who will write their names in to give us their recommendation. So after a recommendation is portfolio, I think we've spoken about it, which simply means your work, links to your work. So if you are an online journalist, it's much easier for you to copy the links of your stories and paste them. And if you are a journalist that works in TV and radio, please, whenever you make a report, try and get the recording and then you upload it on YouTube. So when they ask you of your portfolio, you can just copy that link on YouTube and then you paste it so that you can direct them to the video. And if you also work in radio, you can use various audio apps, because when I used to work on radio, when I make a report, I will upload them on SoundCloud and you have a link. So if you are applying, you just copy the link to the SoundCloud and then you just paste it there. So, and then if you also work in newspaper, you should scan each of the stories you do. You have a digital copy of them and then you put them on your Gmail drive. So when you are asked of a portfolio, you can just copy that link and then you paste it and then people can be directed there. Again, if you have any question, you can put them in the chat and then later on we can address them. Again, just some tips on how to write a statement or a statement of purpose or a reason why you want to apply. The first of all is you have to introduce yourself and your background. You have to introduce yourself and your background, the work you do. If not that we are running out of time, I will have shown you a sample of some of the statement I wrote for some few trainings. Like you just see, like you begin with writing about yourself, what you do, your name is this is the work you do, and then you give them your background. I work as a journalist for this media organization and I report on this subject, and for the past 5 or 3 years I'm focusing, like you give specific details and then you explain your goals, your aspiration. Why does this opportunity align with your goals? And then you You tell them your skills. And one of the most important thing is also, you should always try for every training you want to attend or fellowship, you should have a call to action, something you want to do after the training. This is not a requirement for most trainings, but I think it's very important. So whatever you learn, even if it's in your newsroom, you can gather your colleague journalists for just like a session, maybe lunch or something. Like you just take them to, okay, so when I went to this training, this is what I was able to learn, this is what I learned, these are the tools I got to learn about. So you should include that in your statement of purpose, that after this training, you will share the knowledge you gain with your colleague journalists in your newsroom or through a training, because I think these are very important. And one of the problems we've seen within the journalism space here in Africa is that people think they are in competition, especially in newsrooms. And the truth is, we are not really in competition, because like we are all journalists and we are all trying to achieve the same goal, and we are on the same mission. So there is no competition. If you know you have a knowledge or something, share it with your colleague. If you know how to write, how to edit, how to create graphics, how to do videos, how to edit videos, share it with your colleagues so that they can also improve. And this is just like some tips on how to write a statement. I think we're almost at the end of our training. So just some few options on where you search for opportunities. You can search on the internet, as you guys just did here. We have platforms, journalism platforms, depending on your country, depending on your niche. If you are a science journalist, we have, different groups of science journalists across Africa, depending on your country. You can have that on the platform. On social media, so I will share with you some few pages you can follow that are sharing opportunities. Really, like I will share with you in the aftermath email we are going to share. And then you have groups, your professional groups in Ghana. You have the GGA, you have the CJN, you have Media Foundation for West Africa. A lot of them, like, they share these opportunities regularly. And then we also, as Gaia Africa, we have the Africa Zero Waste Journalist Network, which is a network of journalists who are reporting on climate, zero waste, clean air, and plastics. And we have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter, where we share these opportunities. And all of those things we shared, they are fully funded. So towards the end of the training, there will be a presentation on how you can join this, and then so that you can also benefit. And again, just something I would like to touch on briefly is using artificial intelligence in your application. You know, if you are to ask me of my view, I would tell you to not use AI for your applications. That's just the truth, because now most organizations have an application they use to detect if you use AI for your application. I'm not saying AI is bad. No, AI is there to complement the work we do as journalists. But then when you are applying for opportunities, try as much as possible to generate your responses yourself. And after that, you can use AI to correct the spelling mistakes, but not for you to use AI to generally create the responses. And towards the next quarter also, we will have a training on how to use AI as a journalist, and we have some quite good trainings coming up in the future. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been quite some good 2 hours having this conversation together with you. So now I would like us to have the question and answer. But before the question and answer, I would like us to listen to Carissa, which is our Africa Program Manager, to explain to us what we do at the Africa Zero Waste Journalist Network and the opportunities we have for journalists. I think that's also very important. Then after that, we can have all the questions. Yeah? So, Carissa, I think I'll pass it to you now. Thank you very much. Then later we can have the questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Khalil, and thank you so much, everyone, for staying on this call up till now. So we're going to go through a very quick presentation. I see a lot of you are sharing numbers in the chat, and we really do want to connect with you. We have a WhatsApp group set up for our Africa Journalist Network, and so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about that so that you have the information you need to consider if you want to be part of our network. So the Africa Journalists Zero Waste Network was established in June in 2024 by Gaia Africa. The network exists to strengthen environmental journalism across Africa by equipping journalists with credible information, access to regional experts that we work with, and collaborative platforms to report accurately and impactfully on pressing environmental issues. So our aim for this network is to strengthen the informed reporting on our main campaign areas, which is climate change, zero waste, plastics, waste incineration, and emerging issues in Africa, such as electric vehicle batteries. We also want to support timely and accurate coverage of environmental conferences, international negotiations, and key regional and global events by providing briefings, expert insights, and coordinated information sharing. We also aim to build capacity through collaboration. And so these are sessions like this, capacity building sessions, training, peer learning sessions, and other regular knowledge exchanges. We also want to amplify African voices and realities. So Gaia is a network of grassroots organizations across Africa working on environmental issues. And we hope to partner you with some of these groups to share their stories. These are frontline voices that are leading climate action, zero waste efforts, and so they are very good resource people. And then also fostering a strong, diverse media community that is reporting on environmental stories that affect us all. So that is the purpose of the network. Currently, we have 204 journalists part of our network. They are joining from various parts of the continent. We counted 174 media houses ranging from TV, radio, print media, online media, news agencies, and freelancers. And so we would like to cut the presentation a little bit brief. We would like to encourage you to sign this form to be part of our network. And as part of our network, we will send you some information, especially a link to our WhatsApp groups so that we can stay connected, but you'll also be part of other spaces that we create as this network. So Khalil mentioned the Opportunities newsletter that he sends out. We're also holding meetups for journalists online, virtually, more media trainings, and we're also looking at exploring some journalist fellowships. So yes, we encourage you. We'll share the link in the chat. So please consider being part of our Africa Zero Waste Journalist Network. Thank you so much, and I'll pass it back to you, Khalil. Sorry, I don't know if I'm still audible.
Yeah, we're listening. We're listening.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. So over to you, Khalil. I think you're still on mute.
Yeah, Carissa. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that presentation. I'm very much hopeful that our colleagues have been able to learn more about the work we do as Gaia and also the work the Journalist Network is doing. So even This training is a training by the network. So thank you very much. So now we will take the questions. We have a lot of questions, really, a lot of questions. So maybe I will start from the questions we have in the chat. So Carissa, kindly help me with maybe in case I skipped in any question. So by the way, the link to join the network has been shared. So Carissa has shared the link. So kindly click on the link and then you are able to save the link so that after the training, you'll be able to like you'll be able to apply even later on. Yeah, thank you very much. So that is the link over there. So you can kindly copy it on your phone so that when we end the meeting, you are able to have it. So let me see the questions we have. Okay. Let me see. I saw some few questions earlier. I don't know. Yeah, the phone numbers. Okay, so there's a question from Conrad Onyago. How can one position themselves to learn an opportunity when they don't have evidence like story links, portfolio? That's if it's your first time to apply for a grant. Okay, so again, going back to the basics, what I mentioned earlier with regards to your professional development. You know, the worst response you can get is a no. So just because you didn't have enough experience in the field of what you do, so maybe you have like a year of experience or 2 years of experience, you can start applying for trainings that say it's for early career journalists. So we have a lot of trainings that their target is journalists who have a year or 2 or less than 5 years of experience. There are quite a number of them. So I will advise for you to begin with those. And the more you apply for this type, I mean, it is easier for you, even if you have maybe just a single story or something. I mean, at least you should be able to apply. Again, if your bits, let's say, for example, was business and you are now trying to shift to climate change, even in the bits you covered as business, there is a bit of element of climate change in every bit. Either it's politics, either it's sport, either it's business. So it's just the matter of you repositioning how you report. Yeah, so this will be my response. It might not be the best, but I think because we are a bit far away with time, yeah. So in case you have any further question, you can put it in the chat. I'm trying to go through the chat and see. Yeah, so there's a question from Lawal Ibrahim on how to address the ethical use of AI. So as I mentioned earlier, using AI in itself is not bad. But then depending on AI to generate your responses to the fellowship and trainings, that is what makes it unethical. Because first of all, as we mentioned earlier, genuine interest, time, commitment, and value. So if you as a journalist, you are applying for an opportunity, it is unethical for you to use AI to generate your responses. Write your responses. You can do further research online. Make sure you write it yourself. And then you can use AI to correct the grammatical errors. But do not use AI to generate completely your response. Yeah. And someone is asking if we will share with them a recording. And there is also a question by Gloria on what are the best websites to find journalism workshop and opportunities. Yeah, we have the WITS Journalism Center, you have the GIJN, you have Grant for Journalists, all on LinkedIn, and you have of course, Gaia's journalism opportunities, and there are quite a number of them. So after this training, I will share an email with us. We have about 600 people who sign up for this training, so it's quite a lot of number trying to send an email. But I think I will send a follow-up email with the recording, which is going to be a private recording. We don't want it to be public, so we will post it on YouTube, but it will be unlisted. So we are going to share it with you only. And after that, we also put in bits of websites you can find opportunities. And LinkedIn is a very, very, very useful platform for journalists to be on. So if you are not on LinkedIn, maybe Carissa will have to hold a training again on how to use LinkedIn as a journalist. But I mean, it's a very important, I mean, it's a very, very good platform for you to be on as a journalist, because almost everything happens on there. I think back then, X, like Twitter, formerly X, X, formerly Twitter, used to be a very good platform. But I think now, because of all of these issues of human rights and lack of respect for journalism and the media and democracy, I think it's not a good platform for journalists. But there are quite a lot of platforms. So, Gloria, I hope I've been able to answer your question. So there was a participant who is asking in Arabic, because I understand basic Arabic. It was asking for us to provide a Tarjama, which is translation. We are sorry. This session for now is only in English, and it's not in French. Million G, I think I have answered that. We will share with you. And Michael is asking if they could have journalism mentorship, and if we could share simple sample tips and key points to include in strong and competitive application. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, in the follow-up email, we will have all of this included. Patience will say, okay, so she doesn't know how to raise your hand. I hope that has been sorted. Yeah, so now I think I have answered all the questions. Okay. I think I have answered all the questions. I saw also Kofi Edu Domfe, senior colleague from Ghana. Thank you very much for joining, senior. Yeah, we have quite a lot of, and Yusuf is asking that he has challenges. Okay, so these were at the beginning of the training. So now maybe we can open the floor for direct questions. So if you want to ask questions, you can raise your hand, and then we can have you ask your. Okay, so there's a question from Nalidi Shikina. So it goes as, my input is, I check if I fit the criteria, and if I have previously worked on the teams before. I didn't create a story pitch with a full budget. I tried. Okay. The money could help me travel for far long. Sorry, I don't think I understand this question, or maybe probably it was during the group discussion. All right, so thank you very much. If anyone is having any further question, you can raise your hand. Okay, so
Hello.
there's a question from, before you chip in, there's a question from Bernard. He's asking, some grant opportunities
Sorry, I think we've lost Khalil for a bit. He may be experiencing some internet issues. Khalil, can you hear us? Okay. Khalil has dropped the call. And so I'll suggest that could you please share your questions with us offline? We will be sending a recap email. So you'll find the slides as well as a recording from this session and the presentation that Khalil shared. Let's wait a few minutes to see if he returns. If not, we would encourage you when you receive that follow-up mail. I'm going to put the link to our details in the chat so you can send your questions directly to that email address. And yeah, so I'm going to pop that information into the chat. And then I also see your question about the WhatsApp group. So in order to get the link to the WhatsApp group, we're really encouraging you to please sign up to our journalist network where you'll have access to all of that information, previous presentations, as well as an overview about our work at Gaia and the Break Free from Plastic movement. So it doesn't look like Khalil has been able to rejoin. So I believe that we can call it a meeting. I'm going to share some details in the chat. And then, yeah, I think we can close if Khalil is not able to rejoin due to his connection issues. But thank you so much, everyone.